Good morning, and thank you for publisher of Seniors Blue Book, Amanda Barton. Really excited to bring on this dynamic panel of ladies talking about the topic aging in place. So first on the docket, we have Miss Mary Poster, who is with Hope Healthcare, and today representing the PACE program. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm awake and I'm here and I'm ready to tell you about PACE.
Okay, perfect. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay, I have been with Hope for now starting into my 24th year. I have been with PACE for over 13. My background is actually in pharmacy, but I started like on the Hope side with Hospice, then went with PACE. So I could go the full gamut, and PACE is an amazing program, and we're able to help our seniors and help them age in place where they will age the best.
Yes, yes. Most people want to stay at home and age in place.
Exactly.
All right, next up we have Miss Casey, who's joining us from Continuum Care Hospice of Sarasota. How are you this morning, Casey?
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, ladies. My name is Casey Cuthbert-Allman, and I'm with the newly licensed and CHAP certified hospice in Sarasota County. We're so excited to be here. We've been so warmly received by the community. My hope is to be able to share with folks what it is that a hospice can provide as part of the goals of keeping somebody at home through the duration of their illness.
Yes, perfect. And you're relatively new to this area, but tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm old. I've done 6 startup hospices. I'm excited to be in Florida. I'm mostly from the Northeast. But this is a wonderful hospice where we're really focusing more on the holistic approach to end of life, which is really important to us. As we get into the discussion, we can talk a little bit about what our model is here. But I have been in healthcare for probably about 35, probably close to 40 years. But I'm so fortunate to be part of the hospice community. It's a passion that I have, and it's a passion of the people that I work with.
And we're not going to call you old, Casey. You're seasoned.
I'm seasoned. I'm mature, right?
Yes, yes. All right. Last but certainly not least, we have Rosie, who's joining us from Senior Crossroads. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How is everybody?
Really good. Thank you.
Good.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and the company that you're working with and how you got into the industry.
Yeah, so I've been in the industry about 17 years, and I've worked with seniors in assisted livings. I've been a marketing person in assisted livings, and I've worked in dementia care. And recently, before this, I worked in private duty home care. Ran a couple offices for that. And now I work with Denise for Senior Crossroads. And Senior Crossroads is a care management group of people that we manage as little as the seniors may need in their lives, all the way up to, managing all of their financials and managing their medical needs and doctor's appointments and things like that. And again, just what you've said, we try, what we work most towards is keeping everyone at home as long as possible. And we work with people like these nice ladies that you've already talked to, and, work with them to make that happen.
Absolutely. I always like to consider you the daughter, the Florida daughter, or the daughter that they never had.
That's right. They may never meet us, but we're going to take care of your parents like they were ours, and we want to give them some. Most of our clients are most of their daughters and sons live out of state, so right. They worry a lot, obviously, about what's going on here. So Denise's model, we are kind of the boots on the ground people. We're here to let you know what's going on, to give you a little peace of mind.
Absolutely. All right, Mary, we're going to start our conversation, our dialogue off with you. So Hope PACE is a program that's been around for a while. It's center-based. Talk to us about the qualifications, because this is a program that's funded by Medicare and Medicaid. So talk to us about the program and how you would qualify for it and what kind of services you offer.
Okay. PACE is actually a program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. And one of the main things that we do is we become the primary medical provider. So our participants would have to give up their primary care right now and go with our medical team. But other than that, we do all medical. We have a provider network of contracted physicians we utilize if our medical team feels that they need to see a different doctor or a specialist. We have just reopened our health centers, and we are in 3 counties. We are in Collier, Charlotte, and Lee. And in each one of our centers, that is where our clinics are located. And we have our participants start with 1, maybe 2 days a week. Our buses, we have a full fleet of our own buses, transportation. We bring them to the center, and they're usually there about 5-6 hours. But this way they're able to see their providers. We're able to keep our eyes on them and try to head off any problems. And all this time, they are still living at home as long as they stay safe. As you stated, we are funded through Medicare and Medicaid. We actually become their insurance company. And with that being stated, there is no out-of-pocket charge for any of the services. And that does include medications, medical equipment, hospitalizations. We are able to provide home care. We try to start like minimally at first because we want them to be able to come to the center. But as there's a decline in their health, we are able to increase services. The criteria for the program is you need to be over 55, have a medical need that we are able to assist with. I say that because of the fact, technically, the terminology says to be at risk of being placed in a skilled nursing facility. But using that terminology to, the general public scares them. So it is really that they need to have a medical need that we're able to assist with, like diabetes. We're able to go ahead and assist with that with medications. But, as long as there is a need for us, that is one of the criteria. They have to be living safely. So if someone is, if we're having to do silver alerts or things like that, of course, that wouldn't be living safely. And then once you said Medicare and Medicaid, and a lot of times people will say they do not qualify for Medicaid. In the state of Florida, there's many types of Medicaid. The Medicaid that covers PACE is the Home and Community-Based Services Medicaid, HCBS Medicaid, and it is a Medicaid waiver. The only downside that I will say to this program is it's not a quick fix. So that if you're being released from the hospital, we're not going to be there to help you when you get home, because it does take, sometimes it could take up to 8 weeks, for the process. And that's because the state is involved in everything. But other than that, that's the only downside to the program. And like I said, we're going to help the person live safely with our assistance as long as they can.
Right, absolutely. And I think it's important to mention that you also include your dental and vision.
Yes.
So it's everything. And yes, you do have to have a medical need before you can qualify for it. But hopefully, as you said, it isn't that urgent need where you need it right away. But knowing that you qualify for Medicaid, I think is an important thing to take into consideration ahead of time, so you know about the program and that you would qualify for it when you do have that medical need. All right, so we're gonna, go ahead, Mary, sorry.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, just to add to this, that right now, a lot of times people get, like I said, wrong idea with Medicaid. Just to throw it out there, for the income for the Medicaid that we utilize, the person's monthly income, that's just the referral to the PACE program, their monthly income must be below $2,382, which is a pretty, that's a little higher than the other Medicaid programs.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks, Amanda.
Okay, perfect. All right, Casey, we're going to hop down to you. So Continuum Care Hospice of Sarasota is relatively new to the area. Tell me, when did you get licensed, and what are some of the services that you provide in home that allow someone to age in place and have their end of life planning done right there in their home?
That's a great question. Thanks, Amanda. Continuum Care Hospice entered the Florida market actually in Broward County. We opened an office down there. We had a CON approval to come into Sarasota County, couple of years ago, and we've gone through the appeal process, and we were fortunate enough to push through, and we were licensed in June of this year. We started taking patients after that. There is a federal policy to follow, guidelines about taking patients and then bringing in Medicare or a CHAP surveyor. So CHAP is a subset of the government. They allow these surveyors to come in. They sort of go through your whole review. They look through your records. They go out and do joint visits with you. And so once we were licensed by the state, CHAP came in. We were able to have them. They came in. They were very complimentary of our program. We achieved Medicare and federal approval in August, and we've been growing ever since. We're very excited to be here. We've only been approved for Sarasota County. We're the only second licensed Medicare certified hospice in the county since for 42 years. So as I said, we've been very well received. We're busy. I think the thing for us, those of us that come down here, our passion is to be able to provide end-of-life care for folks for the duration of the illness. But the unique thing about the Medicare and the private insurance hospice and Medicaid, which all insurers cover it, is that really it allows us a little bit more flexibility than some of the other programs where we have to take care of, we support the patient, but we support their loved ones. We also support any caregivers that are involved. The patient can live anywhere. They can live at home. They can live in an assisted living. They can live in a long-term care facility. So, but our goal really is to keep them home, wherever they call home. Mm-hmm. And so that's really important to us. Continuum care is a little bit different than some of the other models that have been around, whereas we're really about combining a strong clinical excellence with a holistic approach to end of life. And what that looks like is the traditional holistic modalities that most people would know about. Our job isn't just to make sure the patient is physically comfortable, though that is paramount for the patient to be able to participate in some of the other services that we offer. So we have nurses. The nurses are available 24/7. We're not in the family home 24 hours a day, but we're available 24 hours a day. The nurse's job is to make sure the patient's physically comfortable. Mm-hmm. And then we have social workers, and the social workers come in and they not only support the patient, they support the loved ones if the patient continues to decline. We also have spiritual counselors or chaplains. A lot of times we get patients who have not been able to maintain a strong connection with a formalized religion because they've been ill. And so this is a really important part of the team. People think the nursing is all that important, and it really is, but being able to help folks reconnect with a formalized religion, if that was important for them when they were well, really helps them at end of life. We also provide a lot of aids. So our aids go in if the plan of care dictates it, up to 5 to 7 days a week. It's not block time, but it's about an hour, hour and a half. And sometimes that's the key to keeping somebody at home and aging in place, is just having that extra hands-on. The holistic approach comes from some of our specialty programs that we incorporate in our hospice services. We have full-time board-certified music therapists. So, and they come in and they can do life review through music, or there's so much science behind the art of music. It's really important. And again, it's not all about what pill a patient takes at this stage of their illness. It's really about helping them enhance their quality of life. We also have a specialty program with virtual reality where we have 3D goggles, and we can take an adult child and a parent anywhere in the world they want to go to. And a lot of times, the number one requested place for patients to go to is they want to go home. So we can literally bring them 3D straight down in front of the house. It could be the house they grew up in, or it could be the home that they raised their family. And so this is really important, particularly for those that can't travel anymore and sort of do the life review. We can do that virtually. We just signed a contract with an equine horse stable, and we're introducing equine therapy, which has a lot to do with post-traumatic stress syndrome. It helps with bereavement. So there's a lot of things that we do. And I think it's really important for folks to understand that hospice is not just about keeping a patient physically comfortable as the disease runs its course. It's about enhancing the quality of life for whatever time they have left.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, Casey. Thank you. Great explanation. All right, Rosie, we're going to bring you on. Talk to me a little bit about what a care manager actually does. I think that people think, oh, it's, just this person that drives you around, but there's so much more to it. You're the clinical eyes and ears for the family. So tell me a little bit about that role and how it benefits keeping that family dynamic really solid instead of a daughter being involved in the process.
Sure. So Senior Crossroads, Denise, she has been a certified care manager for about 21 years, and she covers Sarasota and Manatee County. And like care management, like you said, comes with, a broad umbrella of things that we do, because we personalize every client that we work with. We personalize a care plan for them. So for some people, we have some clients that we go out and we tell them about our services, and they pay the retainer fee to get us on board, and then we don't hear from them for 2 or 3 years, because the only thing we do for them is we are like their medical POA. So say they don't have any family.
Mhm.
And they are worried. Nobody wants to get to a situation where you have a stroke or something happens and you can't speak for yourself.
Right.
When that situation, some people who don't have family hire us so that we can step in and say, no, Miss Jones, these are her wishes. She does not want to go. She would like to stay at home, or whatever the wishes are. And then other people, we manage everything for them, down to hiring their gardeners and paying all their bills, sending in groceries, hiring private duty, getting them to doctor's appointments and all of that. So I think that's what we specialize in, is making a plan that fits your specific needs, because everybody doesn't need the same amount of care. But mainly, like I said to you at the beginning, we strive to give the family some peace of mind, and to have one person, Denise or one of the other care managers, handling your family specific needs, so that we can give you a report at the end of every month. When we do our billing, we send out a very detailed report about every minute that we have worked for your family. And that explains, we've taken her to the doctor's office, we've done this, we've done that. And I think families really appreciate that we can do everything for them, or we can let them manage a lot of it. And what happens a lot of times is families bring us in to manage a certain part of the care, maybe scheduling doctor's appointments and things like that. And then they end up adding more and more as they build trust in us and know that we're going to do everything that we can to make sure your parent gets to age at home. And, obviously we coordinate private duty and doctor's appointments and things like that, but we also do crisis intervention. And I think that some people don't know that if an emergency comes up and somebody, is in Minnesota and their mother has a fall or something, that we can step in at a moment's notice and manage the care and talk to the doctors. And we have a very good relationship with a lot of doctors in Sarasota and Manatee County. So sometimes it's quicker for us to get an answer from the doctor's office than even the family member can get an answer.
Well, and I think it's really important to note that when you get an answer from the doctor, you're able to decipher the information and break it down in layman's terms for those,
Yes.
family members that are not familiar with healthcare terminology. And I think
Yes.
that alone is invaluable when your loved one goes to the doctor. If they have someone with them that can understand the doctor's lingo and report back to the family, it's worth every penny. So it's a
We do, and we accompany them to their doctor's appointments. Obviously, like you said, some of our clients have some dementia issues or whatever, and so the family gets a half report for them. They'll say, "How was the doctor's appointment?" "It was great. Everything's fine." And so we're there to say, "Well, we got to do this or that." And so we're kind of the buffer between the doctors and the family, and we of course respect the seniors' sense of independence and all of that. So we try to give them as much independence as possible while keeping them safe at their home. But like we've all talked about on this program, especially with what's happened lately with the coronavirus and things, people want to stay in their home, and they're even afraid to venture off to assisted living sometimes or other things at this particular time because of everything that's going on. So I think it's a great service for the family to know that we can manage everything at home for them and keep them at home.
Perfect. All right, Mary, we're going to bounce back over to you. Now, the PACE program has an amazing bus that we see traveling around. For those of you that haven't seen it, now you know what Hope PACE is. That transportation actually brings them to the center. So tell me what a typical day would look like or week would look like for one of your members.
Okay, first off, the bus would go and pick them up, bring them to the center. When they come in, they would get a light breakfast. They have lunch there, and depending on what time they would leave, they would have a snack. There are different activities going on throughout the center, throughout the day. And I should state the staff at the centers consist of not just our medical team, but we have RNs, CNAs, social workers, dietitians, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and recreational therapy. There's always something to, get them involved in, whether it's the physical therapy or if they are wanting to play cards, or sometimes there's entertainment, be surprised. And like you were saying, Casey, about music and stuff, I mean, believe me, you'll see people stand up to dance with their walkers.
Yeah.
So, but that, and nobody is forced to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to participate in one event or, just even to take a nap, it is available to them. And there's always the medical staff that's there all the time. And so, I mean, it's just, well, I guess I should put it this way. What they say is a lot of the ladies are going to the spa, and we do have our CNAs that will do the, manicures. The guys are usually going to school, but it's pretty amazing. And I would I invite anybody that would love to have a tour just to let us know, because we're pretty proud of, the PACE program and what we do there, so they can see firsthand.
Yeah, as you should be. And I think I want to reiterate for those of you that are listening out there, this is a program that is no cost to you. It's funded through Medicare and Medicaid. If you don't qualify for Medicaid, you can actually pay a fee, Mary. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. The fee for private pay, what we'll do is we have somebody that does the Medicaid apps, and they will work with you to see if there's any way that we can move things to get you qualified for Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
If not, the option is private pay. And that would depend on which county you're in, because it does change. And I'm sorry, my screen's getting goofy because I'm not supposed to move. But depending on which county you're in, because that's how we're funded, you're actually going to cover what we would get, from the Medicaid, and it changes per county. And then the Part D, and that is what your actual private pay cost would be.
So it varies per county. So if you're interested in learning more about that, or how you can get qualified for Medicaid, go through the Medicaid filing process, check out the Seniors Blue Book. We have some great resources in there for that as well. Thank you, Mary. All right, Casey, we're going to bounce back down to you. Now, we talked about the programs that you have through Continuum Care Hospice. Now, one that you didn't mention that I know we had talked about when you first came to town was massage therapy as well. But talk to us about how you qualify, if there's anything else that you can think of as far as program, but how you qualify, is it, and also address the fact that you can't actually graduate from hospice services. People have this stigma that if you go into hospice, it means automatically that you're going to be passing away.
That's a good point. Thanks, Amanda. Hospice is, that H word, people think about it, and a lot of people believe that, they whisper when they think, the doctor said we should think about hospice.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a difficult conversation for anybody to have, but none of us live to 150. And so the goal really for all of us that work in hospice is to really provide a quality end of life experience for not only the patient, but for the family as well. In order to qualify for hospice, it is based on clinical criteria. So there are some guidelines that Medicare has put out, and based on whatever your symptoms are or the diagnosis that you have, there's certain criteria, we call them LCDs, that you have to meet. Simply, your disease process has sort of, there is no curative treatment that's really available to help. Maybe you're losing weight, maybe they're sleeping more, maybe their dementia is advancing. Folks with COPD may have increased oxygen needs. What I really try to say to patients and families is, your body's is a miracle machine, but as things start to slow down, the organs aren't working as efficiently as yours and mine. And so what ends up happening is that, we have to help the person kind of get through that process when the body's not working as efficiently as yours and mine. And a perfect example of that is people kind of talk a little bit about, when people start withdrawing from food, it's a very common thing with folks at end of life, and families are very upset because they feel like, I don't want my mom to starve to death.
Right.
And it is difficult to have that conversation, but in reality, the disease process is running its normal course. And as part of that normal course, it withdraws from food and fluids because it really can't process that anymore. As I say to folks, we get a cup of water, we drink it, our bodies absorb what it wants, it expels what it doesn't. In the case of somebody whose body's not working well, it holds the fluid. So we could actually cause more discomfort to somebody whose body's not working well.
Right.
And so it's really about a clinical criteria, which is something that we have to review before we can admit somebody to the service. But what's really interesting is that it is one of the only Medicare benefits that there's no co-pays. And I think that's interesting. So we talk about if someone's admitted to hospice and they're on Medicare or one of the private insurers or Medicaid, we pay for all the team, the nurses, chaplains, social worker, aides, music therapists. And it also pays for all medications at 100% related to the terminal illness. It pays for all DME. So if we put in a hospital bed or you need oxygen for comfort, that's something that the Medicare benefit pays at 100%. So that's really important for folks to know. And again, it's one of those things that people think that they get at the very end of life. And a lot of times what we hear from families and patients themselves is, why didn't somebody tell us about this before?
Yep.
It's something that we just, we get at the very end, but there's so much more that we could be doing to enhance the quality of life for the time that they have left. So when you hear that H word, don't panic, doesn't mean somebody's going to die in 2 days.
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, it can enhance their life and have them live a little longer and a better quality of life while they're going through the process.
There's been a lot of, yes, I'm sorry, Amanda. There's been a lot of studies that actually show for folks that in control groups that have exactly the same diagnosis, the folks who are on hospice actually lived longer than those that did not access hospice because we're managing symptoms.
Couldn't agree more. I think that people I think that doctors wait a long time before they mention it because of exactly what we're talking about here with the stigma. They're scared of the word. But honestly, we're paying for this service through our Medicare benefits. We really should be utilizing it. We should be utilizing a lot sooner so we have that better quality of life. So thank you, Casey. I think it's really important. If you don't know about hospice and you have any type of terminal, diagnosis, that you look into it regardless of what, where you are in the process, so you know about it when it's time. Thank you so much, Casey. All right, Rosie, we're going to move on to you. Now, with care management, what would you say a perfect client for you would be? And, what are some examples of some of the people that you're helping now that you can give us an example of what, your services help with?
Sure. So I think the perfect client for us is probably somebody whose family lives out of town and they're here, obviously a senior person who is starting to struggle with some daily things, like maybe the family comes down and sees that they don't have any groceries or they've missed 2 doctor's appointments. And, most of the time, as you all know in this business, when family lives out of town and they call and they check on their mom and they say, hey, mom, how's everything? Everything's fine. Everything's great. And then they come down to visit for Thanksgiving. They're like, oh, my Lord, everything is just a mess. And so that's probably our perfect client is that person that,
I bet family, you get a lot of calls during the holidays, don't you?
Right after, let me tell you, right after Thanksgiving holidays, because people come down to visit and say, oh, and then through Christmas, of course, because they come down to visit and they find out that things are just a mess. And to be honest, a lot of times by the time they call us, they're just like, oh, please help us. This is just the biggest mess. And
Panic
I think
mode.
that that's what we pride ourselves in, is we will take that big mess that you think is a big mess, and we will fix it, and we will, we will take care of everything and be able to give you a report in a day or two that everything is going well. And then the family members also, we're the person that they can call. And we always tell them, you can call us at 10 o'clock at night if you are worried about your mother, and I will go to the hospital at 8 o'clock in the morning to check on your mom and bring her favorite key lime pie. And so we pride ourselves on that too, just the smallest of things, knowing somebody's favorite cookies, or knowing, making sure that when they are coming home from the hospital, that their pet is brought back from the groomers, and that their house is clean and they have groceries in the house, makes the family feel like their mom is going to be taken care of. So, that was probably the client that's perfect for us.
And I do know it's a question that you're going to get asked, as far, because we're talking about programs that are funded by Medicare and Medicaid. Your services are private pay. Is there any other fees that are fee structure that you guys have, or is it private pay only?
So it's private pay. And so what we require is a $500 retaining fee, and which that is taken out. The last bill that they have can be taken out of that. Is just, something we hold, like a hotel would hold a credit card for incidentals, sort of thing. And then we bill at $130 an hour. And now that's broke down in increments. Obviously, if we spend 5 minutes on the phone with a doctor, you're billed for 5 minutes worth of time. We don't say, okay, it's 30 minutes. We've been on the phone for 5 minutes. And again, we send them a very detailed, that 5 minutes will be accounted for on the invoice at the end of the day, but there's no hidden fees. And, like I said, some people pay us the $500 retainer fee, and we hear from them 3 years later when they fall, and some hospital calls and says, hey, you're listed as Miss Smith's medical person, and she's not able to make a decision. And we always tell our clients, kind of like what Casey was saying with the hospice, don't wait till the last minute to call us. We can start managing things now that'll keep you out of the hospital and rehab, and keep your medicines will be straight. We will arrange for, delivery of the medicines. We'll private duty people, whatever it is, to keep you at home longer and to keep you alive longer. So that's kind of what I think that's what all of our goal is to keep you safe at your house as long as possible, and keep your life enriched and happy for whatever days that you have left.
All right, Rosie, it sounds like you need to go ahead and sign me up. I need someone to know when the doctor's talking to me, because I don't remember what he says either. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us for today's program. If you want to get in touch with any of these dynamic panelists, just click the link above and their information will be right there. Ladies, thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.